So there I was, February 1995, with the USS Ponce. We were pierside in Odessa. That's the one in the Ukraine, not the one in Texas. It would be kind of hard to go pierside in Odessa, Texas. We were the first or second U.S. Navy ship to go in after the Soviet Union had fallen apart, and it became one of my favorite Liberty ports. Odessa is in the Ukraine, but most of the people there are Russian, so Russian is the language that they were speaking. One of the days we were there about 5 days. I came back from a trip into town, and the other pace instructor, his name was John, was standing on deck talking with a Ukrainian Air Force officer in uniform. Before it was over, we went up to our stateroom. We were talking about, going into town, making a trip into town with him, and he would show us the sights with a couple of his buddies. He was trying out his English on us, and he spoke pretty good English, but not great. And at one point, he was trying to tell us something, one of the sights he wanted to show us, but he couldn't think of the English word. And he kept saying, "What is word? What is word?" And at one point, he looked down, rubbed his chin, and said, "Govno." And I just kind of held in my laugh. I didn't let him know that I was aware that govno is the Russian word for shit, which is about what I would have said too at that point. But finally, we went into town, met two of his buddies. These three Ukrainian Air Force officers, I'm not making this up, their names were Dmitry, Boris, and Vladimir. And they took us on a tour of a lot of what we had already seen in Odessa, but now we had their perspective telling us about their town. And they were pointing out things like, here is Opera House Odessa, is very, very nice, very old. Here is statue of Richelieu. He found Odessa. You can see holes in plaque from Great Patriotic War. And pointing out different things. Here is naval base in distance you can see. And they pointed to one building off to the left and said, and here is Odessa Snot. John and I kind of looked at each other and looked at them. They were smiling, and one of us said, excuse me? Is Odessa Snot? See Snot? And, okay, it's the Odessa Snot. Please, again? Is Odessa Snot? And they finally, they put their heads together and they started trying to figure out what the word they were looking for. They thought they were saying it right. Is Odessa Snot? And somewhere among their conversation with each other, I thought I heard the word Duma. Well, being a history teacher, I knew that that was the Russian word for, legislature. And the little light bulb started to come on, and one of them turned and said, is Odessa Snot? Like U.S. snot. It's snot. And I said, Senate? Da! Is Odessa snot, like U.S. snot. This is what we say is snot. So, when that was all over with, and we managed not to laugh at them until later, when that was all over with, I realized I will never look at a United States senator in quite the same way again. There I was.